Well, thank you for joining us this evening as we talk up our Move for PADS 2021 event this year and hopefully answer some of the questions that some of you might have in terms of what the event's about, how to get involved, what to do. So we will hopefully have some of those questions for you, and by all means, if you're joining us, here tonight, that you can put questions in the chat box, and we will get to them throughout the presentation. And if you are joining us or watching this video in the future, you can always pop your questions over to events@pads.ca or directly to me, Susie@pads.ca. So my name is Susie Bakayich. I am the event and volunteer coordinator at PADS, and I'm joined online with Tara, our communications manager, who you all know, doing a lot of our Tune In Tuesdays and other social media posts. So the two of us are here today to basically just talk a little bit about the Move event. So as we kind of go through, like, we're going to keep it pretty cash. Like I said, if you have questions, throw them in the chat box, or you can use the little raise your hand icon in the bottom of your, and we can also unmute you and let you talk to us like humans as well. So as we are presenting online, I would also like to take a moment and respectfully acknowledge, in the spirit of respect, reciprocity, and the truth, that our work takes place on the unceded ancestral territories of the Blackfoot Confederacy, the Tsuut'ina, the Ayaks Nakota, the Syilx, and that of the Coast Salish people, including the territories of the the Snuneymuxw, the Musqueam, the Coquitlam, the Squamish, and the Tsleil-Waututh nations. We recognize their sovereignty and deeply respect their role as knowledge keepers of this land since time immemorial. As people who work hard to support and celebrate the diversity of our communities, it is important to understand the history of the spaces we occupy and the ongoing effects of our presence. Thanks. All right, so we'll move on into our Move event. So what's our next slide there, Tara?
I'm going to take over from you.
Super. Okay, over to Tara.
So I want to start by talking, and then just brought up this one little slide that came from another presentation that we did. It's actually from my communications plan from last year, and just kind of talk about why Move. And so Move is a very intentional effort on our part. So as many of you know, we have big plans for PADS. The demand for our dogs exceeds the supply, probably tenfold. And so our organization is really looking to grow our organization, which means that we have to grow our donor base. It means that we have to grow our funding, and also just our community, whether it's volunteers or supporters, etc. And every dog that crosses our stage, kind of from start to finish, from the day they're conceived until the day they retire, is about a $30,000 to $35,000 investment for PADS. And that's substantial. And, you know, I love, we've got Nicole on here, and I can't see everybody anymore, but Nicole's one of our clients. And you know, Nicole is, has her second dog, but someday she's going to need a third dog, right? Because these amazing dogs retire. So not only do we have waiting clients who have never had PADS dogs before, but we have folks like Nicole that are going to need successor dogs. And to do that, we have some big plans that involves a capital campaign in the next few years to build a newer facility that is going to have more space and more capacity. But to do that, there's lots of ways that charities increase their donor base. Some of them will go out and buy mailing lists and just like unsolicited go out and, you know, ask random people who might fit some sort of profile to give us money. And that is a very expensive prospect, but it's also not really the most effective, because you're finding people that don't have a connection to your organization. And I can speak from personal experience that, I look at the number of people, even from my own network, that have joined PADS as donors and volunteers over the years because I've shared my story. And so when we looked at kind of how do we tackle this goal, we didn't just say, okay, we want more donors, like numbers, but we wanted members of the PADS family. And so we set a goal of a 30% increase last year, and this is what happened. So we did a 219% increase. And I am just going to flip really quickly to the next slide, because if you look at this slide about Move last year, there was 763 donors and 612 of them were brand new, had never given money to PADS before. And so I think for a lot of folks that are involved in a fundraiser like this, they don't actually understand the monumental impact that they're making, because for anybody that works in any kind of sales, et cetera, acquiring new customers, new donors, new volunteers is probably one of the most expensive things that you will do, because it's getting people's foot in the door. And so for us, it's an opportunity, not just for somebody to give a $20 donation to a friend because they support that friend, but also the opportunity for that friend to get to know PADS and get to know our story a little bit better and what we do and how perhaps we might influence their world. I heard from somebody recently that has been on our wait list, that they and their sister joined our community on a whim one day because they had heard about our open house. And they came to our open house and they were so moved. They never realized what assistance dogs could do, or that one of the sisters actually was a prime candidate. And so she's now moving through our process as an applicant and a waiting client. And the other sister has become one of our volunteers. And when I hear stories like that, I just think, if somebody hadn't shared that post about the PADS open house, they would never have come. They would have never learned what we do. We would not have received an amazing puppy raiser who's now raised a couple dogs for us, and nor would that individual kind of be kind of working their way towards having their own PADS dog. So to me, it's a beautiful thing when our network kind of moves forward and grows kind of organically, because I think then we get folks in the midst that are as passionate and as wonderful as the people we already have. So with this, one of the things that I wanted to point out, so last year we raised $103,000, which was crazy. When we started planning, Susie, what did you say when I said, let's raise $100,000?
Was that this year or last year?
Last year.
Last year? Yeah, I was a little nervous,
Yeah. So Tara likes big, hairy, audacious goals, and then she gets people like Susie to help her execute them. And so $100,000 was outrageous for a first year, and yet we did it. And we didn't do it. The folks, many of the folks on this call helped us do it. But I wanted to show this graph because the fundraisers that participated last year gave between $20 or raised between $20 and $9,800 individually. And that to me is such an absolutely vast range. But then the breakdown at the right here shows how many people raised under $250, how many people raised between $250 and $500, which was a strange little wedge. And then the folks that raised between $500 and $1,500, and the people that raised over $1,500. So what's amazing to me is that like 40% of our people raised under $500, but we couldn't have hit that goal without those folks, as well as the folks that raised the over 1,500. And I think it takes all kinds of different people. And one of the things, Nicole, who's on the call tonight, what I love is, Nicole, tell us how much you raised last year. Do you remember the total?
Like from myself, or because I had like the flip outs that contributed as well. Like
no, but like, yeah. So for all like, of the money that came into your page, because
$4,600.
Yeah. So, and I think the really cool thing is a lot of those donations came into Nicole's page $20 at a time. Like, yeah. You had like, hundreds of donations.
But
But-
the minute this started, like I set up my page, like the day, like when I heard about it, and then because everything was like you guys are super organized right now, by the way, which I'm totally impressed with, because it was really quick last year. Like it was like, okay, we have like a month to raise like so much money, and so I just I started doing videos, right? And I'm like inside of my parents' house in Kelowna. I'm like, what do? I can't go out. It's super hot out there. So I was like, you know, it's a pandemic. How are we going to raise this money? And I just started from the get go, like doing videos with Walker, and I was like, let's just go. And I just started doing stuff. So, yeah.
And you did an amazing job. And I think that's my point is like, I don't want anybody to be intimidated by
No,
having to
and
raise.
you think, you know, when you're vulnerable and when you're honest is when you get, when you people really understand what you're, like you're not there to just raise money, like this means something to you. And when you're vulnerable and you're honest, that's when people really want to get involved or give or do whatever. So because I got money from the very last hour of fundraising, like the very last hour that it was open. So yeah.
Amazing, Nicole.
Thank you, Nicole, for sharing that. And so I'm going to hand things over for a little bit here to Susie, but Nicole already kind of touched on some of it a little bit about kind of telling your story. So thank you, Nicole, because you've
You're welcome.
probably said it better than we could have about just
Absolutely.
that idea of being authentic. And you're not a salesperson, you're just telling your story. And
No, it's the easiest thing. Like, and I hate it when I get, you know, like emotional and stuff like that. Sorry. And stuff like that. But no, like just being honest about what your dog, like even if you have a puppy in training, or even if you're waiting for a dog, or even if, you know, you're a volunteer, you know, just telling, you know, being honest and saying, you know, how you feel about pets or why you got involved with pets. That's what's going to impact people. Like if you're, like you said, if you're like a salesperson and you're not very, like you said, authentic or real, then people are just gonna be like, oh my God, like, why are you asking for money during a pandemic? Like, it's kind of silly. But if you're authentic about it and you really mean what you say, then people are gonna, you know, really appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, Nicole, you can keep talking. We really don't have to have to sell this anymore. No, I'm just kidding. No,
Last
thank
year
you.
it was crazy, right? Because you guys started in August, not July, like not now. So it was like, oh my God, right? I'm like, oh, and you know, I was kind of depressed because, you know, it's a pandemic, and I was at my parents', and the thing about my parents' house, it's so freaking hot in Kelowna. Plus there was a pandemic, so I was kind of like, you know, I'm depressed, you know, it's a pandemic, and this whole thing got me going. So I was like, oh my God, I have to start. And I remember trying to register on my phone because I didn't have a computer. And remember I registered like 7 times. And, and yeah, I was just so excited. I was like, okay, I'm off and I'm going to do this. And I don't know what I'm going to do this year. I don't know how I'm going to top what I did last year, but I'm going to figure something out.
Perfect.
So, yeah.
Perfect.
So,
Thank you so much, Nicole, for sharing your story. Like it's definitely we can tell through the screen how excited you are
I'm
to
so
get involved.
excited.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Well, Tara has put up a couple of different campaigns that we had run last year. And Suzanne, actually, you're online here. And Suzanne was a part of the Trails and Tales. What was the group again?
Trails with Tails.
Trails with Tails. I get it wrong too. Everyone always got it mixed up. At one point it had 2 different names. So yeah, Trails with Tails.
I was telling somebody the other day it was Tails on Trails, and then I was like, no, that's not right.
No. Trails with
Somewhere you
Tails.
say Tails, somewhere you say Trails, it's all the same group. And are you going to be doing that again this year, Suzanne?
We've already started some communication. I'm looking for somebody to maybe help me out with it this year because I don't have a dog right now. And last year I wasn't working, and I think I was a bit like Nicole where I needed something to kind of focus on, and this was the perfect timing for it. So now I'm working. So maybe if there's somebody who wants to help out, but it really, to be honest, it didn't take a lot of time. I found that one thing that I would do is when somebody donated, I would thank them on my Facebook page with a photo. And then that's because I'm not a salesperson and I don't like asking people to donate money. So I would put it out there and then somebody donate and I'd be like, thank you to so-and-so for donating. And then the link is there again. And that was a way for me to kind of keep it present in people's minds without going, hey, give me money.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that was a strategy that we heard from many people, that really worked to not only show that gratitude, that appreciation for the donation in any amount that it came in, but also to keep the page active, to keep it up front and in people's minds. You know, because it's one thing to kind of scroll through Facebook or Instagram and see these wonderful posts and then tell yourself, oh, I need to find my card, I need to go and do that. And then later comes and you just forget. Even during a pandemic, you forget, right? I just saw that Jane O'Connor put in the chat room there, Suzanne, that you might want to connect with her. So you might already have another co-lead for your team there. For those of you that will be watching this later from the other regions, we are still looking for some leads to kind of gather up the troops in the Okanagan, the Vancouver Island, and the Calgary regions. So for sure, you know, if you're interested, reach out to us and we can totally help you get started and really really get those regions you know, excited about the event and showcase some of the wonderful work that you're doing out there as well. But yeah, on our actual pads.ca/move page, we have at the bottom some of our last year's campaigns that some of you might want to go and check out. We've done a few kind of blog posts about what people were doing, how they got involved, and some wonderful stories to share there. So it kind of gives you a little bit of a spectrum of options. And, you know, we have a few challenges that we could also go and highlight. On this screen here, we have, you know, for those of you that hit the gym very often, doing strength training, you can do push-ups, and every push-up that you do, you know, raises $1. You can go for the marathons. We have some dancers in the crowd that were dancing away. I think Laura was doing some dancing at the drive-in in the Okanagan for 54 minutes. That was her daily activity goal. You know, and here we are, like, also doing jumping jacks as a family, doing burpees. I'm not a fan of burpees, but those of you that did it last year, wonderful job. My campaign last year was to just get out and start running again. And by running, I mean a very slow jog. I had been kind of on the sidelines from all of the sports that I had done, and it was just really hard to kind of get out there. My knees were hurting, my back was hurting. But you know, I took a long, hard look at what I could do, and I decided to just do like a little program to get myself a little 5K jog in last year, and I had so much support. People were cheering me on and really helping me get motivated. Every $20 that came in last year just felt like I couldn't give up. I couldn't stop now. It's it was already going. So on those rainy days, all those you know, early mornings, because as the blistering sun was coming through, I could only start running at like 5 a.m. or really late in the evening because of the heat. So but those donations really did motivate me. So, you know, for those of you that are thinking about how is this gonna, you know, work and how can you find the motivation to keep going, it's fabulous how your network can also build that strength around you and keep you going. Yeah. Oh, we lost our screen share. Oh, you're on mute. Sorry, Tara.
It's okay. I stopped the screen share because I need to share a new thing, not the PowerPoint, because we're going to do just a brief walkthrough. I know a few people, it's a new platform this year. We're hoping it's a little less finicky than last year, because last year I know a few people had issues. The really good news for PADS is that it integrates with all of our other systems. So you automatically, like, donors go into our database And nobody this year has to manually enter a bajillion entries by hand.
And don't worry, Nicole, we don't have 7 entries from you. It's all good.
Yeah, only 5. So, so to register, you just go to pads.ca/move and then click register now, and it'll take you to, hang on, I need to move some things on my screen so I can see. It'll take you to this page. And so there's kind of a few different ways that you can join. So if you want to join an existing team, so for example, if you wanted to join the puppy raiser team, you can go down here and click on the, you know, the puppy raiser team, and you can click join the team. So that's one option, joining that way. After this, what happens next is the same regardless of what page you're on. But you can go find a team if there's a team you want to join. If you're a team captain, you can also just grab an invite link and email it out to people, and they can just click into that link to join. But the easiest way, so if you're wanting to just create a personal fundraising page, and you're just kind of doing your own thing, or if you want to create a team, you just click start fundraising, and once you create your personal profile, a little button will show up on it that says create a team. And so you have to have your own profile set up before you can create a team page. So if there's anyone wanting to create teams, whether it's a client team or a team for another region or anything like that, create your personal profile first, which we're going to do, and then you'll create the team from there. So if you click start fundraising, it'll take you in here, and then it'll give you options so you can you can create an account. If you've used Just Giving before, it's used by many charities. If you already have a login, you can sign in using the login you have. But if you don't have one, you just click the sign up button, and then so I'm just going to create kind of a dummy account using Susie's events email address. And I'm like, oh, geez. Creating a passive, oh, and it's got to be 12 characters. That's really super fun.
Well, while Tara's getting this first page up, I see that there's a few questions in here. So one question is there any fees to register or participate this year from Sabrina?
There is not. So it's free to register. However, when you register, you will get, we're kind of batching them and sending the emails out every few days. But so once you register, you'll get a discount code for ordering. So last year you were kind of forced to get a t-shirt and bandana. This year we opted to make it a free event so anybody could participate. But if you want the t-shirt and bandana, we're going to give you a discount code for our online store, and you can go and order it and at 50% off. Anybody can order the shirts too. You don't have to fundraise to order the shirts, but our participants will get a 50% off coupon by email. And then once you get that, you can go in and order them. And you definitely want to get that order in before the early bird deadline. So just watch for that in your email after you register. We're going to be sending them out kind of, you know, every 2 days or so. So we have to kind of pull the registrations and send them. It's not kind of integrated because it's a separate store. So
Wonderful.
I'm going back to look at the questions. Sandra, there isn't a breeder caretaker team, but I think you should start one. And the shirts we will show you at the end. We've got a graphic. They're different than last year, and same kind of theme and kind of branding, but a slightly different look this year.
You're gonna love it.
You're gonna love it. And so here it asks, please opt me into Just Giving emails or no thanks. Now, this isn't PADS emails. So if you don't want to hear from Just Giving, which is the fundraising platform, you can say no thank you. You will still have the option of receiving the emails from PADS as we update throughout the event. So saying no here won't rule you out of hearing from us. So then if you click sign up, and then we wait, and then it wants all of our information, which is super fun. So we'll just throw in the PADS address here. oops. An autofill option here, but anyway, there we go. And then just hit continue. And so this is the one confusing screen. So what you're going to do is you're going to say, I'm taking part in an event. And then you may search for move and it may not show up because we're still waiting for it to load, because apparently a 24-hour process is actually like a 120-hour process. So, but if it doesn't show up, you're not stuck. The event really doesn't matter. You can just say, I'm doing something else, and you can just type in move 2021, and oh, the dates are optional, so we'll just leave them blank. Now, this part is cool. So you can create your own fundraising page web address. So it can be your name or the name of your team or whatever it is. So in this case, we'll just say events. It's already taken. What about PADS events? There we go. And then this is where you get to opt in or out of emails from PADS. So we will respect this, whichever one you select here. But we recommend you opt in because we will send you tips periodically and kind of update you on what's happening. It will also allow us to tell you about your discount code and everything else. So, but if you say no, then we don't actually get access to your email address. So please select yes, because otherwise we can't tell you anything. And then create your page. So, and then it asks you to give yourself your first donation, which you can or not. And then here's the cool thing. You can customize all of this. So you can say, hey, I want to change the cover image. We are not offended in the least. If you want to use your own photo, we actually like it better if you use your own photo because it makes it more personal. So you can go in here and say, I want to upload a photo. And now I'm like, I should have just like had a great little photo ready to go. I'm like, I feel like, oh no, that's somebody else's dog. All right, we're just gonna load here. How about the move event? I'll load it again. But basically you can just throw an image in here and hit save and it will throw it in there. You can add additional photos if you live stream. If you're somebody that does that, this might make sense to you. You can add your live stream settings. You can add photos to your gallery. So you can add a bunch of photos if you want. Just Giving has these GIFs that you can download to thank people on your Facebook page. There's a million of them that you can kind of download where you're like, thanks so much, you're incredible. All these things, you just right click on them and you can download them. So those are kind of cool. Oops. And then with this, you can also go back and edit your page. So change your page title. So make it PADS is moving for PADS. But you can change it to anything you want. So you can change it to something clever and catchy with your dog name. And then it defaults to a fundraising target of $500. That's just what it defaults to, but you can change it to anything you want. You can change it to $50 and then hit save, or you can change it to $5,000 and hit save. And then it kind of prompts you to write like a page summary. And so it's like, complete the sentence. I am, and whatever it is. So I am paddling, oops, it would help if I could type, for PADS dogs because I want to help place more life-changing dogs. You do have a character count on this headline because it fits in kind of like a preview section. And then you can go in here and write your story. And we'll talk about this a little bit more later, but as Nicole mentioned, you tell your story and make it compelling. Like, and I know that probably feels like a lot of pressure, but I'm going to show you in a second. It's really just answering 3 very simple questions. And it's, you know, kind of why PADS? So why are you doing this? What are you doing? And how can people help? And then you can save your story. And you can use bold and bullets and all the things if you want to, you don't have to. But now you've kind of customized all of these things. And then if you go to view, this lovely thing pops up. But you notice all the information that we popped in here kind of showed up. The only one kind of funny, tricky thing about JustGiving is it leaves your profile image blank. But if you click up here and go to account and preferences and go under personal details, you can upload a photograph here. So you can edit the profile picture. It's the only thing that's kind of in a weird spot. So you just click and upload an image and then it'll show up in your profile picture. Just a note that I discovered is that if you are the team captain, your photo carries across to your team page. So in my case, I headed up the staff team and I've decided that I'm actually going to change it just to be the PADS logo because it seems weird for my face to be on the team page. So just a heads up if you're creating a team page. And that's it. Your page is live.
So Tara, we have a couple more questions in the chat box.
Yes, I'm going to flip the chat box on top of things. If you change the photo, will the move info stay? Suzanne, can you explain further? I'm not sure if I follow. Hang on, I can unmute you. I need to find you.
I can unmute. Sorry.
Okay.
You know, the banner across the top, if I put I didn't change the picture because I didn't know if that move banner would stay.
You will still be connected to the main campaign. So the main campaign page will still have, what am I trying to say? The main campaign page will still have the move banner and everything on it. But then underneath, let me just show you how this will look. One sec. And why actually changing that picture is a good thing. So on the main move page, you see, are you ready to move? But then if you go into these, and it's weird, there is somewhere where you can see all of it tiles them all. And now I'm like, where did I see that? But all, like 3 of the pictures were all exactly the same banner. And then like 2 of them were different because the people uploaded them. I don't know if it was, no, it wasn't Jennifer. But there is a page where you can see those. Okay. Anyway, so if you want to keep the move banner, you absolutely can, but you can also add like additional photos as well. So you could also, if you wanted to add in other photos, you can add them on your page and keep the move banner if you want the move banner at the top of the page. So that's up to you. Okay.
All right, thank you.
And if you have a photo and you want it to have the move logo on it, we can also probably hook you up there because we've got all those templates and stuff built. You can just email us at communications@PADS and be like, hey, make this a move image. We'd be happy to help with that. So, okay. So now if we go, we're going to delete this later, but if you go in here, you can see this PADS-Dog page that we just created. Now, the part that I want to show you is, oops, go away. Sorry. It's very annoying that that keeps popping up and I have no control over it. I'm sorry. Is this button appears on your profile for create a team. So if you decide that you want to create a breeder caretaker team, Sandra, you would create your personal page and then just go here and click create a team, and then it'll walk you through the process for the team, which is almost identical. It just asks you to fill in a bit of a bio on the team and what the team goal is, fundraising goal is, etc. So, and then it'll give you the option to invite people to join your team. And probably the easiest way to do that when it gives you that option is to just grab the link, because then you can share the link any way you want. You can drop the link onto a Facebook group, or you can send it out by email, or you can send it to people in like a Facebook message. And then you don't have to get their email addresses and stuff, which is one of the ways you can invite people. Okay. Any questions on this? I'm going back to our chat box to see.
So we have a question from Sabrina. Is the idea to set up a goal and you do your activity and people just donate, or do people donate in order to make you move?
That is a great question.
For sure.
So Do you want to take it, Suze, or do you want me to?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Sabrina, the answer is whatever your campaign would like to promote. The like for some people, they had a goal where, you know, for every dollar raised, they did a burpee or they did a push up or something. So every dollar that was collected between, you know, such and such date to such and such date, then that was their amount that they were going to do those items. But for others, it's a little bit of a motivator. So for like my story, every dollar that got me closer to my goal of $500 last year, just filled my bucket and kept me going and kept me training. So it really depends on how you would like to really promote your own campaign. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think too, it really depends on the person. And you know, one of the ones that I loved was our executive director was turning 54 last year, so she committed to moving 54 minutes a day for 54 days. And so her thing was, is she was going to get out and move every single day, and she was going to move as many different ways as possible. But what she did to motivate people to give was she created a private Facebook group where like she would post like little update videos and stuff, but you couldn't get in that group unless you made a donation. So she kind of did that. Different people did different things. So for Cadence and I, we basically told people for every donation that was made, we would post a video of like her skills or how she helps or whatever. So we were kind of doing little videos of that, which by the way, was super effective at fundraising, but it also was super hard because I was like running out of things to like, I mean, she knows a lot of things, but then the donations, because people wanted more videos. So I was like, I'm going to have to rethink this year because she only has like 45 queues and I need more than 45 donations. So anyway, so it got interesting. But yeah, it really depends on the person and what they're wanting to do. And so for us, we were rolling. So we were kind of wheeling every day. Like that was part of our commitment, was getting out, but everybody's different. So I wanted to go back. So the Merlot one, let me just share my screen for a second. They were sharing, it was really cute because it was always the dogs sharing, but it was like, did you know if you donate $20 to Team How Merlot Can You Go, the human will row 100 meters. $25 she'll do 5 inverted rows. Since we're princesses and rely on the human, we're hoping you'll donate so we can be treated like the royalty we are. And you know, and so it was kind of like, I will do these things based on the amount that you donate as well. So really it's up to you. I mean, the thing I love about this campaign in general is that it's choose your own adventure. Like create it any way that you're comfortable with and that you think will motivate the people around you. I know, I think it was Henrik and Meredith were doing push-ups and then they were quite gobsmacked by how many people were donating. They were going to do 1 push-up for every dollar. And then it was literally thousands of push-ups. Yeah. And they were regretting their choice a little bit, but yeah, so lots of options.
Yeah.
Suzanne is asking, yes, if somebody signs up and didn't join your team, they can join after just by going to your team page and clicking join this team. So if they've already created a profile and they're like an independent out there floating, they can go to your team page and just click join this team. And if they're logged in, it will just automatically funnel them in. Does that make sense? Okay. Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Easier than typing. There was an event day on the 21st. Do you guys have events planned, or is it up to the teams to plan something on that day? We had a suggestion come in and I'm not sure if we should do it as a team or if I should bring it forward to you guys for that day. So I just wasn't sure if you had something planned.
Great question. So the idea of last year and this year's virtual type event is that, of course, you know, we're still in dealing with COVID. So the sort of day of move that we're presenting this year on August 21st will still be a virtual interactive online interviews, check-ins with me as I die on my bike trying to get out to Chilliwack. Maybe we can set up a time to like meet your group, Suzanne, if that's something that you're getting all of your folks together, that we can do like a huge shout out. But basically the day of, in a virtual form this year, will just be checking in with everybody on what have they been doing, what are they doing that day, or where are they still with their campaigns. It's just going to be kind of like a flood of Insta stories and Facebook lives, just to kind of get people like motivated to really gear up towards the end of our campaigns. But I will say that next year, hopefully, we can actually all look to gather, safely, at a big park, and everybody can like kind of come out and talk about their move events in person. We'll maybe have some yoga, maybe some people doing their move event at the park. So we'll definitely look towards the future for an in-person day of move, but for now it's still sort of on the virtual platform. But Tara, you have something else too.
Yeah, I was just going to say my plan for that day was to kind of similar, if you guys watched the move launch that we did the other day, out at um
Streetcar.
thank you, Streetcar Brewing. I'm like, words are hard, it's late. Streetcar Brewing. But then we were kind of jumping to different people via Zoom. And so my hope is for this year that we kind of schedule a lineup of people. And so if your team wanted to gather somewhere and do something together, then we could kind of schedule you into the day and go live with you guys wherever you are. Or if there's a Calgary team, we could jump live to the Calgary team and see what they're doing and kind of broadcast that live throughout the day, which basically means Tara's going to be at her computer and then kind of just jumping to different people kind of throughout the day to kind of highlight what's going on. So it's just kind of a way of pulling people together, but using the technology still. So, but with things opening up, there's no reason why teams can't gather. We're just not quite at the comfort level of doing a big in-person event yet. So
Yeah. And we will say that one of my goals this year is to see if we can get some more corporate teams involved. So for those of you out there watching this, that maybe you can get your corporate that you work for, your company, even families looking to put together a team. We'd love to showcase some corporate sponsors for our event, and like look for other avenues to really connect our community. So.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Any more questions on kind of what we've covered so far? Or then we'll jump into kind of the next. I'll go back to my lovely PowerPoint. This is the prettiest slide I've ever made. Sorry, everybody. But part of the simplicity is the simplicity, which is writing a compelling ask. And I think for a lot of people, the word ask sounds scary, but really it's why pads. So, tell your pad story. Why did you come to pads? Why do you stay involved? Why are you here? If you have a puppy in training or a breeding dog or a service dog, any one of our dogs, tell the story of that puppy, yes, Cleet, we're talking about you. Tell your story, buddy. So Cleet's jumping up on the screen here. He's like, I'm in. So tell that story and the impact that you've seen and why you're part of this organization. And then what are you doing? So tell them what you're doing. So, are you doing a push-up for every dollar you raise? Or are you cycling to, where are you going, Susie? Chilliwack?
Chilliwack, yeah.
Cycling to Chilliwack. And then how can they help? And one of the things I loved last year, I think it was Emily Pullman on her page, said, here's the ways that you can help. But it wasn't just make a donation. It was, post an encouraging comment, share my post, share Pads' posts about the event. Like if you can't give, like there's a lot of people still that are affected by the pandemic. So tell people different ways they can help. Like it doesn't all have to be donations. There's other ways that that people can help support. And if you answer those 3 questions, you're going to have a really solid profile. Just don't leave the default text. I mean, I'm an okay writer, but it really isn't, it's not persuasive really in any way on a personal level, because it's generic, so it'll work for anybody. So please replace my text. I would be very happy if you did that. So somebody asked about what we're doing this year and what our t-shirts look like. So do you have a drum roll, Susie? There we go. So we have a leaping dog this year. And then our swag, sorry, the water bottle doesn't show up. I think it's either white or stainless steel, but it's a really cool bamboo kind of high-end insulated water bottle. We'll have the hats again. So Susie, the hats are $250.
Yes,
Oh.
the hats will be our bronze level. So if you raise at least $250 through your campaign, you will get one of the 2 versions of our hats. The water bottle is the next level. So you'll get the water bottle and a hat if you get to $500 or more. And if you get to $1,500, you will get all 3 of those items, one of the styles of the hoodies, the water bottle, and one of the styles of the hats. And all of those will be branded with our Move logo and our awesome jumping dog there getting into action. And it's going to be super, super sweet.
And I think the part too that I want to say about the jackets, because we caught a lot of flack last year from people who were like, how can I get one of the jackets? And I'm like, you can raise $1,500. Like, they are literally the only people that will get them. And some of the people that were unhappy with us donated a ton of money. So I felt bad because they made huge donations. But really, the jackets are a little bit of a bragging rights, right? So like, you went out and you kind of did this monumental thing. So we want them to be something that is and the hats and the water bottles. So like, they're things that you can only get by participating in the event. They won't be for sale to anyone else. So yeah, so super excited about them, and we'll be sending out kind of the artwork, etc., on them in the coming week or so. You know, we did want to get started earlier this year and give people an opportunity to get their pages and everything set up before we kind of got into super active fundraising time. But the other thing too is, last year, everybody was like, I want to start moving, I want my shirt. So that was why we opened up registration so early. So if you get your registration in before July 12th, you get that discount code for your shirt, and we have the bandanas for the dogs. So you can kind of get those orders in before kind of that early bird deadline, and then you'll have your shirts in plenty of time for moving. Now, many people have asked us, can we start fundraising right away? Yes, you can. You can fundraise whenever you want. But if you want to wait and do like kind of a push through the month of August, that's totally fine too. It's completely up to you how you want to do it. So I know there's different people doing it different ways. So Sabrina, yes, you can make a participant page for for 2 people, or a household or a family can have one fundraising page and fundraise together, and then join the Pads Razor team. Absolutely. And you can craft that page any way you want. And the other really nice thing about how our merch is working this year, so for the t-shirts and stuff, with that discount code, you can go in and order 2 shirts and you know, and a bandana or no bandana. It's completely up to you what you order in terms of merch. So yes, you can create one page. So
But I will say, Sabrina, if you want 2 jackets, it might have to be $3,000 that you're going to fundraise.
yes, that is true. So that's a really valid point, Susie, is that yeah, the swag is based on the levels. So
Yes.
otherwise you might have to fight over the jacket.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? I'm like, do I have more slides? Oh, I
just wanted to really reiterate that early bird deadline. That is definitely the deadline, not only for you to guarantee getting your t-shirt before the August startup of the official kind of month of Move, but it's also a chance for those corporates to get a logo on your shirts, you know, right next to the pads doggo there. So for sure, actually the corporate logos will be just on the back. I apologize.
And then, and
yeah.
the other piece too, that's new for those of you creating teams. So Suzanne, on the back of your shirts this year, you can have your trails with tails on trails, whatever we're calling it, on the back of your shirt. So your team names, if you order before the early bird deadline, you can get your team name on your shirts, which we didn't do last year. So it's a good incentive for people to kind of get their pages up and running, kind of post haste and get their merch orders in ahead of time, because they're going to do those ones kind of as batches. So that was part of the reason for kind of doing the early bird deadline. So
sorry, what is the early bird deadline? I know you mentioned it, but I didn't write it down.
July 12th.
July 12th.
Yeah.
Couple weeks.
Tara, don't we also have an early bird draw prize?
We sure, well, we have two now actually. So, so if you register before the early bird deadline, you're entered for a weekend getaway. One of our amazing volunteers, breeder caretakers, now, well, I guess now retired breeder caretakers, have moved to the island, and they have a lovely little Airbnb in, help me, Susie.
I think it's
Qualicum. Yes,
Qualicum.
there you go. In Qualicum. And they've offered a weekend stay there. So everybody that registers before the early bird deadline will be entered for that. And then the other thing is there's a company that has chosen us as their charity of choice for June or July. La Dog Company. So they're a small business up in the Okanagan that makes really beautiful high-end dog beds. And so they've offered a dog bed. So the person that wins that particular draw can order any dog bed off of their website, and they will ship it to you for free. And they're beautiful. Some of them are like leather covered, like they're equestrian. So like they're, you know, basically built to last forever, but it's about a $400 dog bed. So yeah, so that's our other early bird prize that we have. So and there may be more, who knows, as we kind of go into this. Like that happened yesterday or the day before, they reached out and said, can we help? And so so that's what they've opted to do for us. So we're super stoked. And any other questions? No, everybody's good.
That's all good. We are on time as well.
We like that. So thank you all so much for joining us. We're really glad that you've kind of come on this evening. And then if you have any questions at all as you go through the process, or you run into any hiccups or problems or anything like that, just email us at events@pads.ca. And Susie will help you.
I'll be right there.
And then if you want Move graphics or anything like that, you can email us at communications@pads.ca. We're going to put a few things up on our Move page, so that if you want to add them to your profile pictures or anything like that, you can, some frames and stuff. But we're happy to help.
Thank you all again for showing up tonight and asking some wonderful questions, and you know, get out there and start moving.
Thanks everyone.
Thank you guys. Thanks a lot.
Thanks so much for being here.
Have a good night.
Good night.
Take care, everyone. And thank you, Lenny, for closed captioning.
Thank you, Lenny.
Thank you guys.
Thanks, Suzanne.
I'm excited.
Yeah, connect with
Jane and I have big plans.
Perfect. Perfect.
Take care, everybody. Bye.